what I want us to do now is we're going to go through things that I want to see everybody doing. Right, so will the children enjoy that?
Some might.
Most of them actually will. Okay, the issue isn't necessarily with will the children enjoy it. They're 6 years old and they have too much energy. The issue is what is expected of us as a company. Okay, who else in the school can run that warm-up? Anyone. Who else in Waterlooville can run that warm-up? So why are the school paying us to be here? Okay, can we do different warm-ups that the children will learn more than just running around a pitch? Does that make sense? Okay, so I don't want to ever see you tell the kids to go for a run. Ever. Right, now what I want you to do, can we all line up along here? And then I want 3 people in the middle as taggers. Right, so the aim of the game, you've got to get to the other side. If you get tagged, you join them in the middle. Go.
Oh, no, this is way too small.
Can you run into someone? Not literally, but
No.
yeah. Go!
Sorry.
And stop there, stop there. Right, what's the issues?
Too small.
Too small.
I'm not sure
Okay.
why Zachary here was rubber tackling either.
Okay, I told Zach to fall over and run into somebody. Okay, to highlight there's an issue. Okay, obviously you're adults, you're going to fall over less. You put children in that type of small space. Okay, they're going to fall over lots. Okay, they're going to get hurt. You as the coach needs to pick up on what's not working in your session. Okay, there is no issue with changing your session at any given moment. Okay, as soon as you realise the size isn't correct, change it. As soon as there's an injury that's been caused by the setup of our session, we've got to change it. Does that make sense? What can we do with this activity? So commonly loads and loads of people will play it, fishes and sharks, whatever you want to call it, in a rugby lesson. What can we do with this activity to instantly make it more like rugby? Or tag rugby, which is what we're teaching the children. Okay, we can give them a ball, we can give them the proper tags. Okay, we want to make it as close to our end product at all times. Because at the moment, the children haven't engaged with the fact that they're doing tag rugby. They're currently running away from their friends having a great time. All right, we want to make it all times as sport specific as we can. When we say about better warm-ups than running around, if we were doing basketball, name a warm-up you could do for basketball.
I do Pac-Man tag with the basketball.
With the basketball, okay, that's the main thing. Okay, the game isn't always the highest of importance, but do it with a basketball. A warm-up is to get the children what? And don't say warm. Okay, heartbeat up and they're moving. Can you do that within the sport you are teaching? Why do we need to spend 5-10 minutes, kids just moving about, not doing what is sport specific? Does that make sense? Can we just make this square significantly bigger for me? Everyone grab a ball. Right, this brings us on to our next point. I don't want to see anybody doing activities without marked areas. So for example, if you're coming out and you just want everyone to have a basketball and to start dribbling, I want it to be within an area. I want the cones to be evenly distributed, okay, all the way around. So we've just made this square bigger and we've now got huge gaps with no cones. It sounds petty, and it is petty, but it's bringing the chance of success higher. Not only will it look better, a correctly marked area is going to help your children stay within the area. I'm sure you're the first people to be frustrated when you say go and all your lovely little children run out the square. You've got to make that square as visible and easy for them to understand. If you're missing cones, it's multicoloured, it's going to be confusing for them. Does that make sense? So everything I want to see in a nicely marked boundary. Who's going to be our taggers? Let's go with 3. 1, 2, 3. Cheers, boys. Go! The importance is not the game, it's the way it's played. Go! Steady, boys. Doesn't matter, big things come in small packages. Right, so now everyone's got a ball. What can we instantly now do? Because we're still in warm-up phase, what can we instantly now do with the activity? Okay, we could start, you could start using the correct terminology. We could work on how they're holding the ball. We could be getting the rules of rugby, so when the children run out the square, Rather than just say, oh, stay inside, we can be teaching them what happens when you go outside the area. Like you said, when you get to the other side, we could be teaching them what needs to happen when you get to the other end of the pitch. So now within this warm-up, the knowledge you're putting into the children is massive in comparison to just run around the playground until I say something to do. Does that make sense? At this point, how many of you are active? Well, not right now. I mean, in the game, how many of you are active? All of you. How many of you have touched the ball? All of you. How many have learned something new about rugby? If you were 4 years old. All of you. Okay, and that's what we want from all of our lesson. If your lesson is 45 minutes, 30 minutes, or 60 minutes, how can we get all the children active? How can we get all the children involved? And how can we get them all touching the equipment? Does that make sense? It sounds like really simple things, but I don't want to see lines. I don't want to see 1 in 5 having the equipment. I don't want to see children stood waiting for something else to happen. Every part of your lesson, how can we make the activities, all the children moving at all times? Make sense? Go! Right then, can we make a circle in with all of you? That doesn't mean you all need to move, you're literally like children. No, make a circle. Make a circle.
Are you in the circle?
No, I'm the coach. Make a circle. Well, that's fine. All I want you to do, we're going to go that way. All I want you to do is focus on your sideways pass. Okay, off you go. Okay, again, this isn't me teaching you how to sideways pass. You should all know that. And freeze. Right, now can you go and pair off? Can you go and pair off and just practice your sideways pass together? Okay. Have you? That sucks, doesn't it? What do you reckon we could do? No. I'm the coach. Should we teach everyone? So. And freeze. Right, Finley doesn't have a partner. What should I now do in my session? Put him into a 3 or go with me? What's the issue if he goes with me? I can't teach you, okay? We don't put 2 people to a PE lesson so 1 person can join in, because that's what a lot of people will do, okay? Obviously there's times in which maybe with a particular child, if they're struggling to participate, then that's a different reason why you may join in with them. But generally speaking, if we've got a spare person, I don't want to see you just giving your second coach to go with that person. We have 2 coaches, so we've got 2 people going around helping and educating the children. Okay, we're going to put Finley in a 3, and no matter what the session is, we'll just go over to that group of 3 and explain what they need to do differently to get the same maximum enjoyment. Make sense? Obviously, Finley, just go join a 3. There's nothing you need to do different. You're just going to pass in a triangle. It's scary that you can picture what this would look like at school with certain people, isn't it? And stop there. Right, can I have one of your pair on this white line, one of your pair on that white line, sideways passing, off you go. Okay, so I don't want you to think about how much I'm teaching or coaching you now. This isn't me showing you to give instructions and points. And stop there. Albeit that actually looks a lot better than it was meant to look. That was my bad example. That wouldn't look as smooth with young children. What would you see more if you did that in school? Them being silly, doing it wrong, dropping the ball, okay? As soon as you put them in pairs static around the area, a third of them are not going to be on task. When we say about making it as active as possible, what can we do differently in this session? Okay, yeah, we can just get everybody running. Okay, there's no need for a static element, unless they're really young and they're really struggling, you're doing a complex skill maybe, and then you would get them in pairs so they get as many touches as possible. But can we achieve exactly the same with them moving? Yeah, okay, so then we would adapt our session to get them moving. Does that make sense? And that's across all sports. So when they're looking out, especially this school, for example, they've got glass windows everywhere. When they're looking out and you're stood in 2 lines, not moving, passing the ball, what is the teacher inside thinking? JC Sports are outside. What is the teacher inside thinking about your session? Brutal, but okay. I can do that. And okay, they may be really good at teaching PE if you're doing a good session, but we want to be doing and providing a service that the school cannot get internally. We want to be providing so much value that the school want us back, and they look outside and like, wow, look at that PE lesson. And especially the more static a lesson is that going to improve or make the behaviour worse? Behaviour is going to be worse. Okay, the more static your lesson is, the behaviour is going to be worse. And when they're looking out that window then, the lesson's going to look poor, the children's enjoyment is going to go downhill, and most importantly, if they're not on task, are they learning? No. Okay, so this time, the same amount of balls we got, I want everyone moving around the area, and then when you see somebody without a ball, can you make a sideways pass? Off you go. Moving at all times. Not the same person. You've got to go to somebody different. And freeze! In your head, I know certain people are thinking, but the children may struggle with the movement. Okay, and they may, but all that needs is more guidance and coaching from you. So straight away, if we did that transition in a lesson in school, what are you going to see lots of kids not doing? But if we think about the skill that we're doing, passing, lots of them are not going to do sideways pass, they're going to start throwing it forwards. Okay, so all you've got to do is step in and use that as a teaching point. That is not a sign for you to make everyone stand still. Okay, step in, make that a teaching point. Like when I receive the ball, can we make sure we're stood sideways, passing across our body? And go through your teaching points on starting on an opposite hip and coming across our body. Does that make sense? This time, once you've passed the ball, all I want you to do before you receive another ball is run to the outside, touch a red cone and come back in. Why would we maybe do something like this within our lesson? Just getting them moving, okay? If you did this with the kids, they'd end up swarming in the middle like a bunch of sheep, okay? It's forcing them to spread out, forcing them to look for the space. Off you go. Freeze there, everyone into me nice and quickly. Come and sit down, or just, you can stand around, you don't have to sit, sorry. Natural. Okay, why, for example, am I allowing you guys to stand up and I potentially would get all the children to sit down? Why are we doing that? Okay, so it may be a height thing. I wouldn't look at it from a height thing. Okay, yes, we may need to consider what they're looking at. If lots is going on behind me, I may go and stand over there so they're looking at nothing. Okay, behaviour. Okay, great answers, but you're all making it a lot more complex than it needs to be. Okay, simply it's behaviour. Children really struggle to stand still and listen. Okay, so you'd make them sit down. Okay, does that make sense? What I also want us to think about is varying when we're talking to the children. Just because something come out of your mouth doesn't mean it's got in the children's heads. And what I mean by that, lots of coaches will have the children out and around and they're just talking. So okay, today I've done a lot more of talking to you because I know that you are adults and you can listen to me. But when I'm talking to children, what may I change about the way I talk compared to how I talk to you, to them? May change tone, yeah, I'm going to change the way I talk to them. No, I probably still talk just as quick. Less information in small bits. But remember what I just said, just because I'm talking doesn't mean it's going in their head.
Gonna repeat?
No, because if it's not going in their head, I can say it 50 times, it's still not in their head. Demonstration is visual, good, so we can look at how we're demonstrating as far as talking, Q and A. You have got to get the children in your sentences. You've got to be varying who is talking. So I may say, if I'm going to receive this ball of Harry, and I'm going to do a sideways pass, how does my body shape need to be? Sideways on, where do I want the ball to start? On my hip, so I'm passing, put the ball down the hip, passing the ball to Emmett like this. On my opposite hip, my further away hip, good. Do you now see instantly we've got more people involved in our conversation? Rather than, right, this is our sideways pass, I'm going to put the ball on the opposite hip, I'm going to pass across to Emmett. I've told everything we want to do, okay, across our stomach. I've told you everything you need to know, but I haven't given you an opportunity to be involved in this conversation. So like a few of you are already doing, you're looking behind me, you're looking at the sky, looking at the tree move. The children are long gone, they're thinking about what they're going to do at lunchtime. So how am I going to do my sideways pass? So I'm starting on one hip. Okay, obviously I've done the same thing again. What am I doing? But what have I deliberately done? Doing it wrong. Okay, deliberately doing it wrong, deliberately making it really obvious. The children have said put it on their hip. Most of the children probably understand what that means, but make it really obvious. Put it on our hip further away. Okay, what am I going to do now? Let's say we've done a few different transitions, a few different Q&As. What am I going to do if the same group of children are answering the questions? Okay, so we may ask certain children, okay, but what if we don't want to make it feel like we're picking on an individual? Okay, good. Pick an area. All right, so again, it's making it less direct, because even then you're saying, right, somebody who hasn't answered. So now you're making the people that have answered the questions really well feel like less valued. Okay, so if Alfie's answered all my questions, go, Alfie, be quiet, someone else answer. Alfie now as a child, as an adult, he understands what I've just done. But as a child, he's like, oh. Okay, Alfie, that wasn't a dig, okay? Okay, but as a child, you're putting them down for being good and proactive. Okay, if I know that loads of people over here, obviously we've got 30 kids, if I've got lots of people here answering questions, and I've got a group of 5 here that haven't answered nothing, rather than picking on one and making them feel really pressured, we could just say, oh, somebody on this side, can you tell me when I release the ball, how do I release it? Does that make sense? But you need to control and get as many people involved as possible. It's a big thing for me. Just because I've said something doesn't mean you're going to know it. Okay, so if we go for our sideways pass, where does the ball start? Opposite hip. What are we going across? Our stomach. Okay, maybe use reference points for the children, their belly button, making them be able to picture it. So we're going across our belly. When I release, what am I doing with my hands? Which direction am I releasing? Okay, where it's going and releasing towards my partner. Where do I want the ball to go? okay, to their chest, somewhere between their waist and their shoulder. Would we look to teach them the spin pass straight away? No. What would you do if a child is trying to spin it and it is just drastically going wrong? Yeah, bring it back. So then you may have the more sporty kids, they're trying to do a spin pass and it's awful. Okay, just bring it back, get them sideways passing first, then we can look to push them onto a spin pass. Okay, again, how you teach in a rugby club may be a little bit different to our PE lesson because the aim here is to get everybody sideways passing. Does that make sense? Off we go then, same activity, off you go. We're still not using the whole area. Nice, better. And stop there, everyone into me, nice and quickly. Come and sit down, take a seat. That's the end of our rugby. You can take a seat, take a seat, take a seat. Sit down, sit down, sit down. It's not that muddy, calm down. I want us to really think about what I touched on then. So when do we stop the group and talk to them as a whole? Okay. When do we bring them in and talk to them here? All stood on a line. What is a benefit of everybody's being stood on a line? You can see everybody? What, Alfie? They're all in one place? They all should be looking the same way. What's a big issue with the line? Okay. The chance of having them all listening is very, very slim. Okay. Somebody like myself has a higher chance of getting away with it because I'm really, really loud. My teaching methods are going to be on point. I'm going to be Q&A and I'm going to be going down the line. As soon as you're not loud enough, as soon as your evidence of learning and Q&A is not good enough, what percentage of that long line is probably listening? Very slim, okay? If you get the children coming in around, are we going to increase how many children listen? Yeah. Does it become easier to get everybody involved? Yeah. Okay, so just thinking about things like that. I'm not saying in a line is categorically the wrong thing to do. You've got to base it upon what sport you're teaching, what children you're delivering to, and what their behaviour is like. But you've also got to pick up on, if you've got them in a long line and 50% of them are not listening, what can I do differently? Jess? God, that was remarkable. I was convinced you weren't listening. Okay, but yeah, think about when you're doing it. Okay, so for example, a minute ago, I didn't bring you in. It's a snippet of information. You actually being in your position made it better to say, look at the space we're not using. But if I want to talk about how we're going to pass the ball and give you more teaching points, is it the right thing to leave everybody miles out? No. Okay, that's when you're going to bring them in, you're going to break it down. Throughout, I want you to Q&A to get the children involved, but every lesson needs to finish with exactly what you've covered. So albeit we didn't cover very much, we covered a little bit of sideways passing. But whatever you've covered in that lesson needs to finish with some kind of plenary, you Q&A in them and your evidence of learning. Your aim is for when that class go back into school, they have all covered what you have done in that lesson. So with our lesson plan objective, you've got all, most and some. There is certain content within every lesson that every single child should be able to answer. Does that make sense? And you can only do that through your evidence of learning, whether that's physical demonstration at the end. So if we're doing hockey passes, you may get them to come up and step up and demonstrate a hockey pass at the end. Okay, if you pass the ball to me, let's use somebody else. Finley, up you come. Finley, can you be my alien that's never played rugby in your life? Yep. Abby, pass me the ball. Jess, tell him the first thing he needs to know about passing to me. Finn, face me, face me.
Middle one.
Yep. So, someone else. Jess, behind. Good. Okay, and he's going to release. You can get the whole class to repeat. Like, everybody now teach me through the coaching points. Everybody tell me, what's the first thing I need to do? Everybody needs to talk. That wasn't everybody. Where's the ball going to start? Opposite hip. At this point, I can be observing, looking at who's not joined in. So, Zach, what do I need to do now? Okay, throw it across our stomach, okay? Now, when we're sending them in, how much more confidence do I have that you all know what you're doing? Okay? The aim is to get everybody in the class learning and covering our topics. If you're doing gymnastics, the aim is not to give the children an opportunity to all do a forwards roll. The aim is to go back into that class and tell the teacher exactly how many children can forward roll and exactly who is struggling with their forward roll. Our aim is to get every single person forward rolling. Do we understand? Every single child in every single school has the ability to forward roll if taught correctly at the correct age. So please don't get confused. Our job is not to provide them an opportunity to do it. Our job is to provide them the best opportunity to succeed. Do we agree? Yeah. If we're in a school like this one and many other schools and we teach every single child in every single year, we are responsible for those children's abilities. And with gymnastics, if we are teaching them from reception, every single child bar a very few, should be forward rolling in Key Stage 1. If they're not, that is our fault. Us as a company should feel responsible for them not being able to do that. If you're teaching year 3 and you're aware that we've done basketball for the last 2 years, it doesn't matter that they're in year 3, every single child should be able to dribble a basketball. That's not unreasonable. Basketball dribbling is not unreasonable if they've done it since year 1. We need to be accountable for that. If me and Ash come in and you're in week 4 of a unit of work and we ask the children questions, I understand 1 or 2 may not answer. But if I ask many children, what are the 3 passes in basketball, and they can't answer the question, what does that tell me? The delivery needs to be better. It doesn't mean you haven't done it. I don't doubt you've probably done those 3 passes. But just because you did it in a lesson doesn't mean it's acceptable. They need to be absorbing the information, and the way in which we deliver that is how they absorb it. Okay? So if we turn up in week 4 or 5 of any unit of work and ask them the first thing they should have been taught, the dribbling or the movement, and they don't answer the questions and have no clue, that instantly is a representation of our teaching method. Do we agree? Cool.
If you got this far, thanks for watching. I hope the video was of use. If you want to keep up to date, we're going to be posting lots on our YouTube channel moving forward. So make sure you subscribe. All of our socials will be down in the description below. And if there's anything specifically you want to see in the coaching sector, please put it in the comments and we'll be sure to make a video.